Hi there. Thank you for the opportunity to do this toe reading, this Astro Toe Reading for you. I'm really excited about the information that your toes are sharing, the messages from your toes that I get to share with you. So, in toe reading, the left foot is internal and the right foot is external. We've already done some work together, so I'm not going to go on a lot about that. Just keeping that in mind, and then remembering that your left toe is spirit path, your right big toe is life path, and then the other toes share energies in communication and expression, action, relationships, and prosperity and trust. So, one of the things that I noticed when I first look at your toes, so kind of the first message that I got is how your action toes on both feet and your action toes are kind of being surrounded by your communication toe and your relationship toe. So if you see that, they're just creating this kind of leaning in your communication and your relationships, leaning in on this action toe. So I'd be curious to know, what is your primary language of affection? And it would not surprise me if the way that you generally show affection or love for people is through your actions. You do things. You like to go and do things. And if we look over here at your astrology chart with your Mars in Capricorn, I mean, yeah, like that's Mars is exalted in Capricorn. It's super high functioning. Mars is the ruler of these third toes. And so action is really important to you. You are a person that people can depend on, a person who is willing to go the distance and do what it takes to get the desired result. Now, we see here with the communication toes really curving and leaning in. So, this could be looking to the past, but what I'm really seeing is a leaning on action. So when we look over here at your chart, at your Mercury, which is in Aries, I would just invite you to consider the way that you speak. Do you feel insecure in the way that you communicate, especially with others? Like, we're seeing this on both sides, but it's really prominent in the bend here in your communication with others. So how do you feel about that? Do you feel insecure about it? I know you have experience working with people who have strong Aries, particularly Aries moons in their charts, and how that could scare you a little bit because relationships are super important to you, and you don't want to speak in a way that might be too fiery. Mercury in Aries can be a little bit fiery, a little bit impulsive. And so fortunately, you've got a lot of Taurus energy to kind of keep you thinking a little slower to act and react and respond. And really just doing some digging around, because this pattern of maybe softening up your speech or using a lot of padding words, not being as direct as perhaps you want to be, like really assessing where is it going to serve you to use this very direct communicative approach with people, and where is it not? Who are the people that you can be very direct with and they will appreciate it and not get their feelings hurt? And who are the people where you might need to, put those buffers around your words? Because the people that you can speak directly to, that's going to feel really, really good. And so I would just even encourage you talking to them and letting them know that you're working on more direct communication. It is in your chart right here, in your star chart. You are meant to be a direct communicator, and your toes are telling us a different story about the way that you are communicating. This would also be on both sides a great opportunity to push in on the second knuckle and then push out on the top. So it will be this kind of emotion. And even running your fingers gently up the side of this toe, just inviting that energy. And even while meditating on what relationships do I thrive in my communication? Let me feel into this. What type of communication is going to bring me the most fulfillment and the most soul evolution? What is the most empowering way for me to communicate? Is that through writing? Is it through verbal communication? Through art? And so this is all about communication and expression. Talking about, how you are embodying your essence. What does embodying your essence look like? And get some more clarity around that. I'm just looking to see where Saturn is. Yeah, Saturn here in Sagittarius. So, and you've got a lot going on here in this creative house, the fifth house, the creative house of expression and, like being seen. And you've got Saturn here who is saying, okay, like let's actually, excuse me, there it is. There's the energetic release. Coming up with some ways that you can fully express yourself. Is it through a style, a color, a way of communicating? Is it just like letting go and being a little wild? See what feels good to you. But this communication toe, there's not a lot of blocked energy in it. So that's really, really good. And this is a very long pattern. This isn't, something that's new. This has been going on for a long time. And so those are the kinds of questions that I would be asking for this communication toe. Now, let's have a look at, I want you to just imagine this toe tracking straight, this toe tracking straight, and your spirit path and life path toes tracking a little bit straighter. What is going to happen with that is your intuition is going to expand so much. This is the channel of intuition, the space between your first and second toes. Your comfort level with standing alone. Alone isn't the right word, but standing firm in your own ground is going to also increase. And we're going to talk about your big toes here in just a couple of minutes. But for right now, just imagine these toes tracking more straight. As far as your action, keep on taking action. Action is one of your superpowers. Let's talk about these relationship toes. So when we look, just for context, your relationship toe on your left foot, there's less toe going on here. Your relationship toe on your right foot is just a more thick toe, I guess is the word that's coming to my mind. So there's more thickness to this toe. And so relationships with those outside of you are very, very important. Your relationship with self is really quite good. You are aware. You take the action necessary to move forward. And even in just, getting this toe reading. And, the purpose of the toe reading is to shine a light on the things that we can't maybe see. Maybe this communication toe is something that you're not readily seeing. So your relationship with self, keep on. You are on the right path with your relationship with self. Relationship with others, this actually, if we look, these two toes are really pointing to each other. So communication pointing to action and relationship pointing to action and expression. And so how are you in your relationships? Do you feel like you can be authentic in your relationships? Are there relationships that it feels like it's a lot of work, or where you're worried about what they're thinking, or are you adding value to the relationship, or are you getting shorted in the relationship? So just have a look at your relationships and what relationships you love and what relationships are taxing you. They're costing you currency of time, focus, and energy. So that relationship, and consider that. So here's a question. Is the thing for your highest and best good right now to expand your relationships outside of yourself or to contract? That's a good question for you. Do you want to bring more people into your circle, or do you want to prune your circle to make room for more soul people in your circle? What relationships are you spending the most currency of time, focus, energy? Where are you spending the most energy, and is that where you want to be? And this includes even the relationship that you have with your business. What does that look like? And how are you feeling about that relationship? At the end of the day, everything is a relationship. So anything that you are thriving in or struggling in, if you personify that and turn that into a type of relationship in your mind. I like to think of it as people, because those are my deepest relationships. And just see, if this thing was a person, what would it look like, sound like, smell like? What would my relationship with this person be like? And I'd be glad to share an experience or two that I've had about what has happened when I have had that kind of meditation where I am personifying something. So relationships are important, and this toe could use a little bit of massage as well. And kind of like we were pushing here and here, it's going to be the opposite. On this one, we're going to push in here and out here to just invite that energy. And I'm feeling like this upward motion would also be very beneficial, and releasing blocked energy that you have about relationships. Identifying the relationships that it's time to reframe, and identifying the relationships that you want to deepen. Okay, last toes here, the fifth toe, the prosperity and trust toes. Where are you as far as trust goes? Do you think that you're too trusting or not trusting enough? Based on your toe, I'd almost say that there is a trust imbalance going on in your toes. And it's, do you trust too easily? And has that resulted in betrayal, unnecessary pain? And I do feel, and from the experience that I've had with hundreds and hundreds of people, is that being too trusting is more helpful than not trusting enough. The lifetime cost of trusting is far, far less than the lifetime cost of not trusting and being suspicious of everyone. Just make sure that you keep your brain in check and listening to your intuition, because if there's something that doesn't feel right, go with that. Definitely go with that. And your prosperity toe. I know that you've done a lot of work around prosperity, and I want to give you hope here. Okay? You've got a solid nail on this toe. A lot of people don't have very much of a nail on that toe. You've got, there's not a lot of blocked energy in here. There is some. I feel like it's mostly generational, because if you look down here at the bottom of the toe, which is where the generational stuff comes in, that you have brought some generational ideas about trust and prosperity in with you. So massaging this toe, when you massage this toe, would be a good idea. And just releasing the beliefs around prosperity that no longer serve you. I'm really happy to see that toe actually, because I do know that you've been doing a lot of work around that, and it is truly written for you to have that prosperity. We're going to jump on over here to your birth chart, which I know that you're super, super familiar with. And in your goddess reading, we're going to talk a little bit about this here. Jupiter conjunct Vesta, very, very close to each other. And just a couple of things that I want to talk about in your birth chart. So we spent a lot of time talking about Mercury in Aries. That's this second toe. So remember, Aries likes to go straight forward and fast. And those might be some words that you might want to use around this second toe, realizing that you've already built a nice pattern for yourself of being very aware of the way that you're communicating. I'm just going to invite you to take some of the bumpers off of the way that you communicate with people. We talked about your Mars, such a strength for you. This Mars in Capricorn is such a strength and is indeed almost like the doorway, if you will, to higher levels of consciousness, vibration, and prosperity. Your relationship toe is ruled by Venus, which is here in Taurus. And so, this relationship toe and your feet generally, just in a nice warm bath with essential oils and just gently rubbing those feet or with a luscious oil, your feet would really, really enjoy that. And some of the things we've talked about, if you ask those questions while you are actually manipulating the toes, it's gonna up level that. So the massage while asking the questions, super, super, super powerful. We've talked about your earth toes here, your prosperity toes. And so when we look at your chart and your part of fortune down here in the sign of Sagittarius, this comes through exploring. And you've got Saturn here to help you out with that. Saturn so you don't get so spread out, but you can come back in the way that you're exploring, in looking at belief systems and philosophies that work for you. Speaking of those philosophies and spiritual beliefs, etc., let's talk about this spirit path toe. This one is interesting, and there is generational stuff. You can see it's all the way from down here in this toe, coming up and then looking to the future here. So let's talk about your toe, your spirit toe. I know that you are in a place of spiritual evolution right now in your belief systems, etc. One of the things that's going to help you get more and more clear and settled is to gently push in on this toe here while you push out here. Again, remember what will happen when your communication toes and these toes start tracking more straight. You're going to open up your intuition. And this toe is kind of leaning in. It's almost pushing in over here, looking at action. So opening that up, pushing out, and then just exploring the questions around what is my spiritual path? How does my spiritual path fit in with what I'm doing? How can I feel supported? That would be this, the Saturn down here in Sagittarius. And then when we look at what you've got in your 8th house, which is in the sign of Pisces, very spiritual. And Jupiter, congratulations on your Jupiter return, is here expanding that. So definitely some spiritual bents here. And then, your 12th house here in the beautiful sign of Cancer, very intuitive. You've got, between what you've got going on with Jupiter and Pisces and the 12th house being in Cancer, Pluto in Scorpio. Like, you are a highly intuitive person, and I have benefited from your beautiful intuition. Just close your eyes and imagine for a minute, if this energy was tracking straighter, the absolute expansion of your intuition. It's remarkable. It's powerful. So gently pushing out here, and also allowing yourself to go through the process. This manual manipulation of the toes can help move the process along a little quicker, can help move that energy, but it's still a process. We can't just jump to the top of the mountain, because there's so many beautiful things to learn along the way. And your life path toe. Okay, so just for context's sake, the difference between these two toes in your life path. So you are on your life path. It's not totally straight and totally clear yet, but you are getting there. And this toe actually looks to me like the toe of a person in the situation where you are, where things are changing in your life path, in your career path, and kind of settling into that. Your toes are saying you're doing perfectly fine. Stay on the path that you're on right now. You're doing great with that. Okay. Is there anything else? Really lean into that sun in Taurus and your Venus in Taurus, especially because I think part of what's going on with your communication toes is you just roared from Aries into Taurus right here, before before you were born. 0 degrees, 22 minutes. Taurus for your sun, you're right on the cusp. And so you do have a lot of Aries energy. The other thing is you've got your North Node here right next to it, and that's in the sign of Aries. And so this communication, even though like these are on opposite sides of the sign of Aries, this is actually a really big part of your life purpose and your mission, and will support you in so many ways. So yeah, those communication toes and this spirit path toe and this relationship toe. If you needed to focus down this reading into 3 major messages, it would be those communication toes, this spirit path toe, and this relationship toe. I hope you found that to be helpful. I'm always here for questions for you, and thank you so much.